Can you beat Cyberpunk 2077 if every kill randomizes your weapon? The answer is yes. It's actually been done before by multiple other YouTubers, which is where I got the idea in the first place. But unlike those other YouTubers, I will be using a mod menu to limit my maximum HP to 1, which means even the tiniest bit of cheese in my cheeseburger will kill me. I went with the hard difficulty because I'm not a complete psychopath, got a legendary pull from the appearance randomizer, and put all my points into reflexes and tech ability, except only one of those was actually useful. The game begins with me turning up the volume from a disturbingly low 10 to a nice comfortable 15. Some stuff happened, and I arrived at the first mission of the game. I reduced my max HP to 1 and proceeded to get a taste of what my next 7 to 9 hours was going to look like. It was looking like I'm gonna have to chemically blind myself. Yeah, I kind of figured that getting melee weapons was gonna be less than ideal on 1 HP, but fuck me if that's not the understatement of the year. Even just this first mission felt as hopeless as trying to order 5 Whoppers and 5 more Whoppers from Burger King. Each time you may think you're getting close to achieving the desired result, but the next thing you know, you're given 10 Whoppers. What am I supposed to do with 10 Whoppers? I specifically ordered 5 Whoppers and 5 more Whoppers so I can eat the first 5 and genetically engineer the rest into a meat-based exoskeleton. It didn't take long for me to realize that melee weapons were not the only obstacle for my singular health point, as I got an iconic shotgun that deals damage to yourself when you shoot it. End result, not very good. On attempt number 31, I finally managed to get some good RNG for my first 6 eliminations, and even managed to kill the second last enemy with a melee weapon. Unfortunately, however, my peanut brain couldn't fathom the invisible gun given to me by the randomizer, and I died from pure confusion. After about another 10 instantaneous deaths, one very close attempt ruined by bad RNG, and a very odd-looking weapon that got me killed, I was finally ready to give up. Not give up the challenge because I'm not a pussy, but rather give up my pride and lower the difficulty down to normal. I wasn't proud of it, but considering that even on the normal difficulty, I'm able to get shot through walls and die, I decided to level the playing field. And what do you know, on my very next try, which was also my first try if you ignore all my other tries, I finally managed to get a good weapon after every single kill and rescue Sancho Dorset. On the car ride back home, I gave myself enough HP to survive the encounter near my apartment, conducted a social experiment on some civilians, and went to sleep. The next day, Jackie tells me he's getting married and he wants me to plan his bachelor party, so I meet with Dexter Deshawn to make it happen. Dexter tells me I can acquire Jackie's wedding present by buying a military combat bot called the Flathead from a nearby Target. After that, I'm to acquire some dirt on Jackie's soon-to-be wife Evelyn Parker, just in case she ever tries to take 50% in the divorce. I decided to start by getting the wedding present, but since I have no money, I called up my sugar mommy, Meredith Stout, to give me some. After some weird roleplay involving us and 2 other black men, she gives me $10,000. I get into a terrible car crash, and finally meet Jackie near the local Target to go get his wedding present. I must have started drinking mid-playthrough again, because I'm not exactly sure what turn of events led to me trying to massacre everyone, even though I had the money to buy the Flathead. Unsurprisingly, I died, and in my next life bought the wedding present with money instead of bullets. After picking up the Flathead, a group of disgruntled minimum wage Target employees started riot, so we have to escape the store. Surprisingly, the massive number of enemies wasn't a problem at all for my single HP. Even with 2 melee weapons back to back and 2 close encounters with shotguns, I was able to make it to the end of the mission without dying a single time. Unfortunately, however, much like amateur cock and bull torture, that feeling of fleeting happiness didn't last very long. There's 2 giant mechanical creatures of war at the end of this mission, both of which are incapable of missing a single shot. On top of that, I was frequently getting smart weapons during this mission, which without the smart link cyberware was about as useful as shitting your pants out of pure boredom. Luckily, after only 10 tries or so, the fairy godmother finally blessed my weapon RNG, and I was able to beat this mission in under 20 minutes. With Jackie's wedding present now in my hands, it was time to acquire some dirty secrets about his future wife. I met up with Judy from Craigslist, and she sold me a recording of Evelyn Parker and Yorinobu Arasaka engaging in some premarital activities. This was exactly the dirt I'm looking for. With both halves of Jackie's fortune now fully secured, we meet up at the afterlife to finally start the party. The bachelor party was off to a great start. Jackie and I got a few drinks, and head wedding planner Dexter Deshawn booked us a room at the famous Konpeki Plaza hotel. We were having the time of our lives in the presidential suite, up until Jackie downed a few more drinks and learned that Yorinobu Arasaka was staying on the top floor of this exact same hotel. I tried to stop him from going up there, but he desperately wanted revenge on Yorinobu for performing the Panamanian petting zoo on his soon-to-be wife, which is understandable. Unfortunately, Yorinobu was not home, so we settled on raiding his personal safe and stealing his precious recipe for Szechuan chicken. Like all Szechuan chicken-related accidents, this one also ended in getting shot 24 times, falling 20 stories off the roof, and having to escape the most fortified building in Night City. I ran into a pretty major problem already within the first enemy encounter. See, this hotel is woke and doesn't allow its residents to carry guns, which means I'm forced to get a kill with my fists to get a weapon. Needless to say, that is pretty hard to do when you have the durability of half a sandwich. I guess I could have realistically just gone the other way around and used stealth to kill them, but there was that one part of my brain that covers the entirety of my brain that didn't really want to do that. That's a lie. I did actually do that, but not that it really mattered, because I got stuck again on the very next enemy encounter. This time, it wasn't even due to the weapon randomizer, but rather the enemies being a bunch of poopy butthole bitches and deciding to not miss a single shot. It eventually got to the point where I didn't even care about the challenge anymore. I just wanted to complete this mission, so I decided to use stealth as much as possible. Unsurprisingly, as much as possible didn't last very long. Approximately 5 minutes after getting that idea, I got bored and started blasting whatever random garbage I got into anything that moved. This came with the increased risk of suffering a brain aneurysm from too much cyberpunking, but by getting just a little more creative with my angles, it honestly wasn't that bad. Fighting the Arasaka elites downstairs was not a fun time, however. They like to stay at a very long range, and the weapon randomizer mod was specifically coded to make my life harder, so I kept on getting shotguns. All it took was 35 minutes of my life, the adrenaline buff I got from my overheating butt plug, and one devious angle small enough to squeeze one bullet through to finally clear the lobby. We finally leave in our getaway vehicle, shoot some stuff, Jackie gives me the Szechuan chicken recipe, dies, and I meet head wedding planner Dexter Deshawn at his studio apartment. Meeting him was a huge mistake because he apparently never got paid for his wedding planning services. Since Jackie couldn't pay him because he was dead, and I had no money, head wedding planner Dexter Deshawn decides to get what's his in blood. I don't know what type A blood goes for in 2077, but I'm guessing he didn't make back what he lost. I played as Johnny Silverhand for a few minutes and hit a nasty quad feed for the gram, after which I came back to life through sheer willpower. I got rescued by Evelyn Parker's dad, Takemura. She was adopted. The guy on the hood of his car put cheese on his cheeseburger, so he rammed him into a pole, and I woke up at the hospital. According to the doctor, all I had was a mild concussion, and other than that was completely fine, so I left the hospital to go meet Takemura at Tom's Diner. At Tom's Diner, we reminisce about the good times for a while, like when my foot fiddled with his junk under the table a few seconds ago, until he eventually asks me for my help with a couple of problems. First, I have to rescue his kidnapped daughter Evelyn Parker, and second, Takemura has already located a new suitable husband for her, but the problem is that it's genius millionaire playboy philanthropist Anders Hellman, so he's gonna need some convincing. Takemura has given me some pretty hard tasks to complete, so it was finally time to go get some chrome. I ended up buying a Sandevistan, the double jump legs, and the SmartLink cyberware, so getting a smart gun wouldn't be a problem anymore. It was now time to go meet famous old person Rogue to get some information on the whereabouts of Anders Hellman. Rogue wanted 15,000 euro for this information, and in my infinite wisdom, I had just spent all my money on Chrome. I had to do some off-stream mining to get the cash, and she gives me the information on Hellman for free right after I gave her the 15,000. Kidnapping Hellman was gonna be a two-man job, but since the only other man I knew was dead, I went for the next best thing and hired Pan Am Palmer for her kidnapping services. Unfortunately, just like German midget labor, Pan Am's help was not gonna come free of charge. She wanted a new car as payment for her services, so we arrive at Rocky Ridge to ambush the next sucker who makes a pit stop in this shithole. Unfortunately, that sucker was more like 8 suckers, and instead of sucking, they turned my body into a game of Connect 4. It's not all bad though, because using melee weapons against machine guns was slowly becoming less and less of a problem. With my newly acquired Sandevistan, I could catch an elite enemy off guard and actually manage to take them out without getting hit once. Also, the deflect skill with a sword allows me to block about 4 bullets without taking damage, making what was once an instant game over now into a possibly winnable situation. Once I killed the second last enemy, and as a result got the best sniper rifle in the game, I knew exactly what I had to do with it. I proceeded to hit the cleanest trick shot in Cyberpunk 2077's history to finally prove my teacher wrong. Looks like I did amount to something after all, Samantha, you bitch. Now that Pan Am got her brand new, previously used car, we shoot the AV Hellman's Inn down with an RPG and make our way to the crash site. The guards around the AV weren't anything special. The only reason I died as many times as I did was because I kept on getting blunt melee weapons and knives, which are incapable of deflecting bullets. And also the SMG with more recoil than something with a lot of recoil didn't exactly make long-range combat any easier. It ended up taking a big boy number amount of attempts, but we eventually take out all the guards, rescue Mitch, and begin making our way to the gas station where Hellman is hiding at. Or so I thought, except Pan Am had other plans and proceeds to ram into my fucking bike, killing me on the spot. Once I eventually arrived at the gas station, I was pretty intrigued when the randomizer gave me a gun that kind of looks like a toy. I stopped being intrigued when I realized it actually was a toy gun that did 0 damage. To make matters even more confusing, on my next attempt, I somehow started a conversation with Hellman, even though I was still on the roof and nowhere near him. That was also pretty intriguing, up until the point that bug took away my ability to jump and left me permanently stuck in a corner. Despite all these minor setbacks, on my 3rd attempt, I managed to summon my inner Martin Lawrence and bad boys 2 my way through the rest of the enemies to finally capture Anders Hellman. I brought him back to my motel room, where Takemura successfully convinced him to marry Evelyn Parker. who was still missing and presumably dead. But not for long, because my next destination was her place of work to find out what really happened to her. At Evelyn's workplace, I used my investigative journalism abilities to find out who her boss is, and then proceeded to ask him some questions about Evelyn. He didn't give me the answers I was looking for, and I also did not find any inside of his head, so I investigative journalismed his computer to find out where Evelyn was. The messages inside the computer led me to Finger's clinic, and after some persuasive investigative journalism, he spills the beans on Evelyn's whereabouts. She was being held hostage inside her kidnapper's HQ, and judging by my first attempt, rescuing her was going to require the patience of a Shaolin monk. Within just 5 minutes, I had already achieved a body count higher than that of my whore ex-girlfriend. And just like my ex, the enemies outside the building were beating my ass like a pair of cheap bongos. And I kind of liked it. Fortunately, once I actually made it inside the building, the turntables that were turned started turning once more. I started blasting my way through countless enemies and switching guns more frequently than John Wick himself. With the help of my good friends Sand and Evastan, I made short work of the last few enemies, finally found Evelyn Parker, and rescued her from the life of a retired child actor. Now that my debt to Takemura was repaid, it was time to go on vacation in the testicular torsion of Night City called Pacifica. A few minutes later, while I was crashing some guy's funeral for the free banana bread, a random homeless man informs me of a cutting-edge holiday resort nearby, so I left the church to go find it. Unfortunately, when faced with the abnormally jacked receptionist named Placide, I learned that I couldn't simply buy my way inside. Instead, I had to run an errand for the receptionist. Placide is a big, thirsty hunk of a man, so my job was to break into the Grand Imperial Mall and get him a Coke Zero. Well, technically he only said Coke, but judging by his body fat percentage, he probably prefers zero sugar. I figured that getting inside the building would be simple enough until the enemies in the parking lot immediately gave me a masterclass in getting fucked. I'm pretty sure they're lacing their testosterone with G Fuel because they did not miss a single shot. After about 10 minutes of suffering that felt more like 10 and a half, I came to the conclusion that the only way I could buy myself enough time to kill them before getting hit once was to start using grenades to my advantage. Now, they wouldn't kill enemies this high level, but they did do decent damage, and more importantly, stun them long enough for me to take them out. Surprisingly, even though there were 5 times as many enemies inside the mall than outside, I actually had a much easier time. For some reason, enemies are not able to enter this specific room from the outside, so I was able to take pot shots from above the shelf without too much risk. Well, except for the risk that some goth muscle mommy somehow disproves the claim I just made by entering the room. After killing enough enemies for content, I skipped the Netwatch van and began fighting the reincarnation of the 8-time Mr. Olympia winner, Ronnie Coleman. There's just one problem. The most recent weapon given to me by the randomizer was a tiny pocket knife, and there was about 600 pounds of pure muscle mass coming after me. That's the second lie I've said in this video. It actually wasn't a problem at all. Sure, my damage per second was abysmal, but even with her aerodynamic balding hairline, she was still much too slow to be able to catch me. To humiliate her even further, I trick-shotted her unconscious body before finally retrieving the Coke Zero from inside this random guy's skull. Now that I returned the Coke Zero to Placide, I could finally begin relaxing in the resort's most cutting-edge facilities. I became so relaxed in fact that I started going back in time to party like it's 2023. Unfortunately, the year was actually 2013, so the party was pretty lame. Dissatisfied with the quality of my hallucination, I gave the resort manager a 0-star rating, died, and left to find a new adventure. A new adventure found me pretty fast, as not even 10 minutes later, Takemura calls me up on the holo and tells me to meet him in Japantown. In Japantown, Takemura tells me he's looking to replace his old wife with Hanako Arasaka, and apparently women love it when you kidnap them during a parade, honoring their dead father. The first and second snipers went down without much of a fight. A man on some stairs brought me a lot of pain and misery, but once I got past him, the final sniper went down pretty easily as well. Now that the snipers were taken care of, I unplug the bolt creature from the mainframe and get attacked by red glowing blade arm man ninja. What? He shoved those thermal cybernetic blades so far up my ass that the aftermath resembled a spicy Taco Tuesday. Yeah, the randomizer screwed me pretty badly again, because I was stuck using a sword with 1 HP against the deadliest melee heavy boss in the game. He also has a fully automatic aimbot submachine gun in the little pocket dimension inside his back pocket, which was a fun little cherry on top. Fortunately, and this may come as a surprise to whoever's still watching, but I've actually beat him in much harder conditions. All I had to do was lure him up and down a ledge while getting some hits in, hide behind pillars when he pulls out the SMG, take advantage of his inability to attack when invisible, and he was defeated in under 10 tries. Next, I hack the security cameras, Takemura kidnaps Hanako, and I meet them in an undisclosed location. After giving my formal letter of recommendation, Hanako agrees to marry Takemura, but only if we help her take over Arasaka from her brother, Yorinobu. Yorinobu must have some big-ass ears, because as soon as she said that, his assault team busts in the building and kidnaps Hanako. Saving Private Takemura was pretty easy for a gamer of my caliber, and together we escaped the building unharmed. A short while later, I, Takemura, and his newest family member Anders Hellman ride out to Yorinobu's mansion to free Hanako. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't fire a single gun in this mission. See, I had a sneaking suspicion that I was gonna need all of my sanity to beat Atom Smasher, which I did, so I made this mission just a little bit easier by using stealth only. With the guards now taken care of, we freed Hanako, took her private jet to Arasaka HQ, and arrived at the Arasaka board meeting. Some stuff happened, I don't know, I wasn't paying attention, and we make our way to the top floor of the tower to take down Yorinobu. The enemies on the top floor didn't make it very easy for me to kill them for some reason, but thanks to the autosave placed at the top of that elevator ride, I still had most of my marbles left for the final boss fight. I also managed to get very lucky by getting one of the best iconic weapons in the game to use at the beginning of the Atom Smasher boss fight. Sure, the initial damage wasn't great, but after respecking a lot of skill points into the SMG skill tree, Smasher's phase 1 was a breeze. And that's about where everything started to fall apart. When Smasher goes into his second phase, one of two walls will open up on either the left or right side of the arena, revealing 4 Arasaka soldiers and 2 turrets. This is a massive problem. Not only am I now 6 times more likely to catch a stray bullet, but the second I kill one of them, the randomizer robs me of my iconic smart SMG. Most of the time I wouldn't even get a good weapon in return, like in this example when my last 3 kills gave me a baseball bat, a machete, and I kid you not, my fists. After a mysterious hole appeared on my desk when I got him down to 2% HP and died, I finally managed to crack the code. An hour later, but still. After getting Smasher to his second phase, I stand still and listen to which side's wall starts opening up. Once the right wall opened up, I threw 2 grenades to get rid of the turrets inside and began eliminating the 4 soldiers that came out. I got lucky with an SMG from the last kill, which quickly turned into an LMG from one of the mini Smashers that showed up. For the next 5 minutes, I played like my life was on the line. Because it was, I wouldn't be able to handle another loss. When Smasher went down to 5% HP, he starts shooting 1 bullet per second, but since that's all it takes to kill me and he doesn't miss, I just hid. I did most of my damage with grenades from behind cover, got him good with a sneak attack, and finally freed myself from this completely mandatory hell that I willingly put myself through. Next up, I made Yorinobu resign, giving Hanako all the power, and beat Cyberpunk 2077 like a normal sane person.